Hello and welcome back to the studio where I paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales, and I've got my t-shirt on today because it is boiling in the studio. Anyway, I've decided to paint another cat because I was asked to paint a cat that's not black on black, and I did paint one that was in black on black. Please check the iCards by there. So I thought I would paint Boo. Now this is a painting I did of Boo quite a while ago. There you are, there she is. And that was for my own personal use, obviously. But I thought, yeah, I'm going to use that as reference. I've also got another reference on my iPad, which is one of my royalty-free images, which I will put on the Facebook group in the studio. So if you pop along to Clive 5 Art Studio group or page, or even just pop along to the website, www.clive5art. I put all the links by there, don't worry about it. Okay. Now, if you want to zip along to the actual painting, then please type in this time code in your bar below, and that's going to take you straight on to the painting. If not, if you want to see how I proceed with just the setup, then stay where you are. Nice. Okay, so I got some colours on the palette there. I'm just going to make a little ground. In other words, a very thin wash of colour. I just want to ground back my canvas. I normally do this before I paint and before I video, so it's not going to underbind. And if you want to know what underbinding is, please please click the iCards. Yes, I don't know if I've had too much to drink last night or what. It is bank holiday, and I'm not saying what time of the year because I don't want to date my videos. But I did have a couple of glasses of wine last night, so a bit slurry today. And why not? If you don't drink, then have some grape juice. That's just as nice. I've been allowed to have a couple of glasses of wine now, so it makes life a little bit easier and a bit more enjoyable on the weekends. But I haven't been able to drink for quite a long time because of my health, and I thought I was allowed to have a couple of glasses of wine, and I thought, why not? Just give myself a little treat. Life's too short. Life's too short to worry about things like that. It is. So a ground is a very thin wash of colour, basically. Why do we do that? Well, it's to help with your eye, basically. It helps your eye focus on mid-tones and that. And because white is a bit blinding and also affects my cameras as well. So I'll put a little bit of a ground on there. I'm going to wash my brush just into some plain water, and I'm going to dry that off very quickly with a hairdryer. Okay, so if you press that time code button and you zipped onto this point, thank you very much, and let's continue with this painting. So I was looking at my painting of Boo. There she is again. Lovely cat she is, a lovely cat. And I put her on a blue background, and I thought, okay, so let's do something slightly differently this time. So I'm going to put this cat on like an orangey background, I think. So I'm picking up some mid-tone yellow, and I'm picking up a little bit of mid-red, and I got a couple of reference photos here, and I'm trying to pick the best orange colour I got. So, and this is going to go quite nice with that raw sienna that I put in there. So I'm going to put a slightly darker in the far corner there. I'm going to bring this in, and this is just the first coat of colour for the background. Now you can put this paint on really thick if you want to, and see if you can get maximum coverage. But I tend to build up in. I'm not gonna do many washes today, if any. In fact, I'm thinking of just a couple of layers maybe. I just want to build up a pattern in the background. There we go. So just that orangey colour going on, and I think that's going to offset her quite nicely, I think, in this particular instance. I'm going to bring in a little bit more red. I'm going to a bit of ultramarine blue there. I'm just going to bring a little bit of that in. I want to dirty down that colour there, make it look as if she's lying on some sort of worktop or something like that. And as I said, this is just the first stage, the first layer, so we can work around these colours. So I just want to darken it around there. Now she's quite black in this particular area of her face, and she's got white there as well. So what we need to do is offset that black with a little bit of light, but we need to bring some dark in to counteract the dark as well. Not so much counteract it, but make it look equal is the word I was looking for. You'll understand as I go on what I'm on about, because sometimes I don't even know what I'm on about. So my little dog Molly, she's a wonderful little dog. She's 2.5 years old now, and she was saying to me in the kitchen the other day, she said, "Daddy, why can't we have our own Facebook page?" And I said, okay, why can't we do that? So she's given me instructions to come in here today and paint away the stress as we normally do. And she wanted me to paint her, because Boo was actually she was a year old when I had Molly, and she adopted her basically, and she brought her up, and I think Molly thinks she's part cat now, but Boo is quite the cat. She's quite the investigator, old Boo. There we are. We'll leave that at that for now. There we go. So we put some sort of background in there for now. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go back to my original washing my brush. Make sure you wash your brushes out well, because you don't want acrylic paint to actually dry in them. So I've gone back to my original image here now. I'm also looking at the painting. I'll put a picture of this in the corner. I'll also put a picture somewhere around here of the image I'm actually going off at the moment. So I got a bit of yellow on my brush. Now I'm going to just go in straight into the eye with some plain yellow, and I got to think about where this pupil is going to be, and it's about layer building. Now this certain parts of this video I'm going to have to speed up a little bit, so if I do that, it's only because I'm doing repetitive work, and that's not something that you want to be sitting through and bored and then skipping through certain areas. So, but notice the way I'm actually using the brush. I'm actually using a brush like that, and I got a lot of paint on this brush, so very lightly over that. There we go. Just brushing that paint in. That's your first layer. Now if you've got a cat, you can paint your cat in exactly the same pose, can't you? So you might be a tabby cat. You might have a tabby cat. I like tabby cats. I used to have a tabby cat. I'm not what they would call a cat lover per se. I prefer dogs, but certain cats in my life have won my heart, and they're quite independent creatures, old cats. And I think it's wonderful that if you can preserve your cat in a painting, or your dog in a painting, or your budgie, or whatever you got. Just going to add a little bit of white to that, because this yellow tends to be a little bit on the transparent side. I don't want it too light in here. This is going to be darker in there, but I just want to bring in a little bit of light there. There we go. I'm just going to give that a rinse. What I'm also going to do now, I'm going to work around the eye. I got a bit of Mars black there. I'm going to bring a bit of ultramarine blue to it, because I want a blue black. Boo is, I was looking at her fur, and blacks are either tend to be either on the blue side. Let me take this hat off. They tend to be either on the blue side or the brown side. So it's important you bear that in mind when you're actually doing something. And again, I'm using a detailing brush, and I'm just going to bring in the top part of that eye like this, trying to be as accurate as I possibly can in the time scale that I've got. But like I said, I'm going to speed this up in points, because I want to show you how to paint fur as well in this video. So I want to bring this eye down there like that, because there's a bit of an eyelid there, comes down. Now the blue is going to be wonderful type of blue. Now I'm going to add the smallest amount of white to that, to the one side, so I got a grey, blue grey, and you can see the grey I've actually got now by adding the ultramarine blue and Mars black together. Bringing that in there like that. Add a little bit more black to it, just darken that grey up, just to get that a little bit of an eye effect in there like that. There we go. We're getting that eye correct, I think. Now we've got to think about this pupil. So the pupil tends to be like that. Boo came running in the kitchen the other day, and she was so scared because there's a, I can't say this too loud, otherwise Molly will go nuts. There's a ginger cat that has taken a liking to my Boo, and he have certainly scared the living daylights out of her, and that's for sure. So this eye tends to be, it looks as if it's like there, and her eyes were like dustbin lids. They were oh, the big pupils and everything. She was so scared. You could see the fear on her face, because I think that cat is, I've tried to add his wicked way with her, and she wasn't having any of it. And Boo was being done, so she doesn't want all that nonsense. She certainly doesn't. A bit more blue, a bit more black, a little bit of moisture on the brush, and this is going to come in there like that. If you're following your reference photo, make a note of where these lines are and actually paint them in. It'll be a lot easier for you. It'll be a lot easier for you. Don't get pulled into too much detail at this particular point. All you're trying to do here is get that look that this is an eyeball, basically. There we go. And that's going to come in there, because this area here is catching, the light, and it's catching the light down there. And if it helps to put some little lines like that where you think the light is going to be, then put them in, because you can always paint over them. Now we can tighten that up. Now her nose, we've got to be careful here. Her nose is coming in like that. Now this area, her nose is pink, she's got a pink nose, and this area here, as we can see, or you can see you can see on the picture, I can't, I gotta look at my painting. This area here is white, so what we want to do with that, I know it looks a bit strange, but what we want to do with that now is to get some ultramarine blue and some white. Let's make a very pale light blue. Now the reason I picked ultramarine blue is got ultramarine blue, this is on the red side, so it's got a bit of warmth to it, it's not so cold. So we got to think of that, we got to try and brush it in the way of where this fur is going to be. And I've got to look at her now like this, because she's all white down there, so we've got to bring in this. Let's get a little bit of blue there, just to bring down, there you go, a little bit off your brush. And that's going to act like a shadow colour. And then just merge that in, just get this shape. This is what all I'm looking for at the moment, is the shape. Is the shape there. Now this centre line goes, seems to come up the nose there like that. And then this nose is got a little bit of a twist to it like that, see? And that goes all the way up the centre of the head. That's how I see it. You might see it slightly different. So I'm following. I need to pick up my painting, and I need to follow my painting, because this goes under the eye there. And we got a bit of a cheeky colour, a bit of a cheek coming down there. Just putting that in. Now, the reason I'm putting blue in, you might be wondering, the reason I'm putting blue in here is because I need to put white on afterwards. So, in order to show white onto a canvas, because you might be painting onto a white canvas, you haven't gessoed it, or you haven't put a ground on. You need to put a bit of colour on in order to show white. Now I'm putting blue on. Not only is it going to cool down that fur, but fur like the black fur, the white fur is not pure white. Black fur, the white fur is not pure white. It's let's put that there. It's actually it takes on the colour of what's around it, basically. So it looks as if it's got it's either a cool colour or a dark or a very light, very light grey type of colour. It can be. But for this argument, we will just put in some blue, because I just want to cool it down a touch, and then get a little bit of shadow in there. I'll make it look as if she's lying down at least, anyway. There you go. I don't know. We do a bit more. One of the reasons I painted her like this is because it's a lot easier than trying to paint her like that. So I actually picked the wrong day to. I actually picked the wrong day to video. I should have videoed the other one because it's easier for me. But hey, life doesn't work like that. Majority of the time, it certainly doesn't. And I like to show my lessons, and I like to struggle a bit. Because it shows you that we're all human beings, and we can all struggle a little bit, and hopefully you can learn a bit more by watching me struggle a touch. Right, I want a very light pink colour, so I'm just going to get a small amount of red there, only a small amount, and I'll put some white to it. There we are. See how powerful that red is. How much white I've got to put to that to lighten it down. So sometimes it's better to add the white first and then just a small touch of red to it. So let's get a nose in. Nice. And get my detail brush again. Where did I put my detail brush? And a bit of that black, because she's got a black mark here, so that comes out quite distinctively then, like this. That can come down there, which actually goes. She's got dark skin then, which comes over her nose area, like that. So we need to put this nostril in there, bit of grey. We can tighten that up in a second. She's got just a little tiny mark there like that, and she's also got a little nostril in, just coming in. You can just see the side of that little nostril there like that. And let's just bring that down around there. Washing our brush. Go back into some blue. And bringing that down. I'm going to just put a small amount of that colour, that grey colour to it. I just want to change this white to more of a grey, just to give me a little bit of contrast there. Because her nose is like that. Just getting a bit of this black. I just get as much paint off that brush as I can. I just want to put a bit of shadowing in there. There. Well, she's looking like something now. Not quite like Boo yet, but she's getting there. Now, what we got to do is get a bit more of this pinky colour, and she's got a distinctive pattern in her ears. So let's put some pink in there. And like I said, this is all undercoat, underpainting. Okay, little bit of grey. Let's get a little bit of burnt umber, raw sienna burnt umber. Clive, what do you like? A bit of raw sienna in there, because she's got this mottledy type of pattern on her skin, on the end of the ear. There we go, like that. And let's get some black made up. And let's just do this here now, very gently. Get a bit of flow. If it's not working, get a bit of flow to it. And you've got to remember that I'm not sitting directly in front of this. I'm actually sitting on an angle. And when you were painting, you were more like this. I'm actually painting on an angle when I'm videoing, which it brings with it its own problems, because I see things at a slightly different angle to you. What you're actually seeing on the video is not actually what I'm seeing at all. It really is not. So that brings with it its own problems, but sometimes when I'm painting directly in front of the canvas, I throw a party. I do, I certainly do. Okay. So let's get some black, some blue mixed together here now, and let's just get a bit of white to it. I just want to bring that down into a grey, because I just want to bring that difference in there. And let's just get a slightly bigger brush. There we are. Same thing. This is just a Filbert brush. I'm not too fussy sometimes on what brushes I pick up. So I used to say what brushes I was using. So you're better off looking in the descriptions and just getting yourself a selection of brushes. I will tell you what I'm using, but I can't tell you before I start, because I'm not too sure what I'm going to be using. Okay, so we need to bring that there. We go. Okay, so I'm going to speed this section, I think. Okay, so we sped that up a bit. Basically all I'm doing is just blocking out some black and some light colours now with the black, making bits of grey, and I'm just trying to get the form and the shape of old bouillure. I'm also starting to put in where I think my highlights are going to be. That's just what I'm doing here now. I'm just getting some form on this face if I can, because she's sitting on quite a strange angle, and as I said, I didn't make it easy for myself. So she's white down there, so we need to bring a bit of black in here now, and it's just a block out really, and we can play around with the details of this as we come in to put the fur in place and to get the shape and dimension, because her face is a bit squished, but we can work on that. We can I'm going to block this out because I want to put in some highlight in there. Now, dry brushing basically means that you haven't got a lot of paint on your brush, and I'm just going to go now. I'm just going to go into the eye like this, just to put a bit of colour in that eye, and I'm going to darken that eye up by just dry brushing over that yellow like that. There you go. We've got to put some fur in this. Now, not everywhere on this particular painting is going to need fur to be added to it. So the key to it, and to any type of painting like this or portrait like this is to keep the actual detail, as far as adding fur is concerned, to a minimum, because you don't want to put all these hundreds and thousands of little tiny strokes in there if we can get away with that. So I'm going back into my white, my blue, and I'm going to put some more colour in here. She's got her mouth comes down like that. She's gonna, it comes down here like that. That's the way she's lying, I think. We've got a bit of furs going out that way. And just just get a little bit of darker blue now, and I just want to bring in the bottom lip like that, because she's got a little bit of, I'm going to have to wash my brushes now, she's got a little bit of black there as well, so let's just get some black. And she's got a distinctive black pattern then on the bottom of the mouth area there. I'm going to get a filbert brush. I'm just going to distress I'm going to shout at it, "You're a naughty filbert!" Just going to distress my filbert brush. Pick up just a small amount of black on that. There we go. Just a tiny small amount of black, and I'm just going to very, very lightly just stipple in a little bit of marks like that. That's going to try and represent the little skin marks on Boo. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm looking at this. Let me just wash my brush very quickly. I need to bring some of this orange colour back in. Yeah, it's going to be quite dark in here. Or maybe we can vignette this. Oh, right, we're running into 36 minutes. That's not too bad for that stage. Again, I'm going to use a tiny little filbert. I'm going to mix a bit of this grey into this blue just to make that little shadow colour, and I've got to think of some shadow coming in there like that. A bit more blue in, a bit more white. Very lightly, just dragging that around. Now what we're trying to do here is get this feeling of shape, roundness. So we're adding a little bit of colour down to that bottom, but as we're coming into this area, we are just lightening it slightly. So that's going to give us that deception of there's a roundness in there, because it's like a shadow. It's like a shadow effect. There you go. Let's just put a little bit of fleck in that ear there, like that. There you go. Now we're going to start building form into this area now by just using a little bit of pure white and just dragging it through like this. Same thing, just building up that tones. There we go. Building up the tones. And we can put the detail in later. Now let's get into this grey, because we've got to get this face looking right. So I'm going to get a bigger brush, 1/2 inch short flat again. I'm going into this grey now, and I'm thinking of a little bit of highlight here and there, and there and here, and here and everywhere. A bit of light and a bit of dark, so we need to darken up certain areas. Put them in. Let's get a nice dark blue, a blue black. Sorry, dark blue. Dear me, I don't know. Now this you don't need to put little tiny bits of fur in there, because it's so dark you can't actually see that. So let's build up around here and bring this black into the white, into a feather edge like that. And then pull that out that way. It's going to be quite dark on here. What we need to do is I'm just looking at this now. I'm just going to get a little bit more white, and I want to bring this down that way a bit more. So I'm just adding a little bit more white to this area now, just to use that. See that blue area there? What we're going to do is we're going to try and maintain that as much as possible, bringing in a bit of light on top of it. We're going to try and build this as much as we can with the bigger brushes. Just let the brush splay. If you're having trouble with this brush splaying, just push it down like this, squish it a bit. There you go, and then just pull it out like that. going to be a little bit darker down here, so we need to. That won't be too. We can just blue it off a touch. Let's get a little bit of black in there. Actually, it's just put like a shadowy colour in there. Because it's not going to be dark down there. It's just going to be like a blue shadow, really. There you go. Looks a bit more like it, I think. So we're going back into our black brush, and I'm just going to bring in some more intensity there, and again splaying the brush. If you're going to be doing a lot of pet portraits, I tend to keep certain brushes for fur. That way, because they're already splayed, and they're not damaged. It's just the fact that it's just the way I paint, and I know the brushes will perform for me. So, but if you're struggling, then just get a cheap set of brushes, a reasonable set, I would say, student grade or something like that, and sorry, I'm thinking now. I need to get this darker down here. So what we're building up on is shadows and contrasts. So trying to making something look as three-dimensional as we possibly can. So we've got light there, and if we bring in some dark here, we're going to recess that eye back there. Very, very lightly, just dry brushing over that area, like that. And it's starting to look a little bit like Boo, I think. I wouldn't say it was perfect, but I don't mind if it's a little bit like this, less perfect. Such a word as less perfect. Well, there is today. Very lightly, just a very, very thin coat of paint. I'm just going to try and go over Boo's nose, there, like this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of black down to that, just to grey it off. There we go, make it into a little bit of a shade so we can put a little bit of shadow in, a little bit darker. And looking at the nose, bringing that in. That just a little bit more, a little bit at a time. Don't overdo it, otherwise you can ruin things quite quickly. There. Going into our black, and I'm looking at the Boo, and I'm putting a pattern in like this, pure black. There we go. When I go back, I'm going back into the eye. Leaving a little bit white, dry, but I'm increasing the black into the eye itself. Still on the black. sharpening up the detail now. If you've never tried painting a cat before, give it a try. If cats are your thing, maybe we can have a look at painting a dog one day, or even a giraffe or something, I don't know. So, distinct lines now. I'm just making line marks now, little, rather than painting flat like this. What I'm doing is I'm just putting distinctive line marks in, just to represent maybe some fur that's going on there, like this. Now you need the paint to be quite thin for this, and if you're just using water, then be very, very careful, because they're underbinding. And again, please check the iCards out for that. And this can be quite tedious depending on how much detail you want. But the more detail you put in, the more time you spend on a painting like this, the more realistic you're going to get it to look. So, you know, some of these paintings can go on and on and on and on and on. But for the sake of this basic video that I'm doing, I'm just going to do a little bit of detail. I'm not going to do a vast amount of detail. Again, we're looking at this eye now, and this eye has got to be quite dark there. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white just on a brush, just to lighten that colour up, because I'm looking at my drawing, I'm looking at my reference, and there's just a little bit of light just catching underneath that eye. There, back into some black. Concentrating, taking breaths, trying to pretty good actually for breathing is painting, especially when you're doing something like this, because inevitably you've got to hold your breath at certain points in the painting. And you know, if I've used this as therapy for getting over a stroke and things, and it's helped me tremendously to relax, to practice my breathing techniques, and my memory it's helped me with memory control as well, memory retention I should say, not control, memory retention. And painting is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to do, even if you're not a master artist, or you know, you consider yourself, I don't consider myself good enough to paint. Well, paint just to practice, paint just to enjoy the process of painting. Paint away the stress. That's what I say. Paint away the stress of everyday life. And there's nothing nicer than being able to do that. Nothing nicer at all than being able to do that. So she looks a bit strange there, so we've got to alter that in a second. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put a very thin wash of colour, and I'm just going to get a bit of yellow. I'm just dipping my brush into some. Well, I use my medium mix. I use my medium mix. You can use water, that's okay. And I'm just going to go over the black we put in earlier. Now, down there she's looking a little bit green, so I'm just gonna pick up the smallest amount of black just on the tip of my brush with that yellow that's on there, and I'm just gonna green down this eye, believe it or not, like that. I'm gonna put a bit more black onto my brush, and I'm going to put some shadow into this eye now, just to knock that back like that, because that eye is in shadow. That eye is in shadow there, and she's got a little bit of that colour coming in there like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get myself a drink, nice cup of tea. I'm going to let that dry, so I shall be back shortly. And we're in the studio again. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to pick up an inch short flat, and just going to get a little bit of this orangey colour that we made up earlier. I'm going to thin that down, and I'm just going to just put that over like that, just a thin wash of colour. Now, just merging that in like that. What a lovely colour. And that's just a thin colour, a thin wash of paint, a little bit more yellow in it, and that's just to give it a lustre. That's what we're looking for, is a lustre colour, a colour of lustre. Is there such a word? I don't know. Who minds? Don't know if you can hear, but the rain is coming down again here in Wales today. Yes, we've had some lovely weather here in Wales, but unfortunately it's taken a turn for the worst. It certainly has. And I'm just putting a little bit more paint in, just a bit of light there. My seat is squeaking. No minds, I don't mind. Don't mind my seat squeaking a bit. Put a bit of shadow in, like that. There you go. Bit of shadow. Get your finger, rub it in. You mustn't use your fingers on the painting cloth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Washing that brush out very quickly, and I'm going to get some of this black there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to thin that down. I'm going to put a thin layer of black paint just to darken back that bits of white that I put in there, just to not make it look so harsh. Just a thin coat of black, and I'm going to darken down this corner now, going into a bit of black like that, and I'm going to get a little bit of white. I'm going to make a light grey. I'm going to darken that up. Okay, so I mean thin it up, thin it out. Let's put a bit of grey there. Just get a touch of blue to it. There we go. Now, I'm not happy with the way this is looking, but we need to bring some of that fur up. She's got fur all under here, so we need to just bring that in like that, because that's quite dark there now. That's in shadow. So even though it's white, it's going to show a little bit of shadow, so we need to just darken that up. And I'm just using a bit of black just to, because I want to, really. I don't know, does it really matter? I don't think it does. Okay, I'm going to put that brush in some water. I'm picking up my detail brush that I used earlier on. I'm going to go back into these eyes now. So I got a little bit of white. I'm going to have to put a little bit more white. I think I'm contaminating my white here a lot. There we are, that'll do for now. So we got a spot there. These are little catch lights. Cat lights. Catch lights. There we are, just put a couple of the spots there. We need to bring in some. I'll tell you what we need to do now. We need to put some yellow to that. We want to lighten this yellow with white, because I want to bring in some light into this eye, like that. Now, bearing in mind, and I will say this, that when I did that painting of Boo, which is the original one, that one, there we are, it did take me a while. It took me a good few hours, in fact, and I think we considering the time that we're spending on this painting, and we haven't sped it up a lot, I think we're doing pretty well. I think we are. Put a little light there, and there's a little bit of light there. There we go. So she's looking not too bad. Not too bad at all. A bit more yellow on my brush, thinning that down a touch, and I don't know why, but my palette is drying out quite quickly today, and it's not that warm in here. But sometimes that happens. It does. Just put in a bit more brighter yellow here, there, and everywhere, just to make these eyes look a little bit more realistic. There we go. There's going to be a little bit of a, where's our light? There's going to be a little bit of light reflection just down that edge there, like that, just to make it look a little bit more. There we go. Just put a little bit of light catch in there. You know, she's looking pretty good, I think. I think she's looking pretty good. See that colour already? Now, what we've got to work on is fur. Let me just wash that brush. Now, there is things called rake brushes, and if I can find one, just give me 1 second. Where's my rake brush? Here's a rake brush. Okay, so I found my rake brush. There it is. Its percentage of hair is longer than the other. There we go. And that camera's on manual focus, but it's okay. Right, let's get some hair on this pussycat. Now again, this needs to be thin. It needs to be a thin paint. If you're just using water, bearing in mind of the underbinding rule, but the way you can get around that is to varnish your painting afterwards, and that should, in theory, keep it in place, but it's not guaranteed. So there we go. So we're just going to put some, let's put a little bit more white to this colour, because this is catching the light. And she has got some flecks of white paint. She has, because I'm painting it live. She has got some flecks of white hair in her fur, in her skin. In her fur. Okay, so let's put some details. Oh, you want to paint all that? What do you want to paint all that for? Or you just want to put an indication of maybe some bits of fur. You don't need to put them all in. Don't waste your time with things like that. You can put as many of these bits of fur in as you want. And the reason I'm using a rake brush is because it's got, I don't know, about 20 different little areas there that's got some like mini brushes. Then there we are. They're like mini brushes. So they are individual hairs. So I gotta think now. We're gonna go this way. Some of these are fine. I'll see if I can zoom the camera in. So I zoomed the camera in, and you may be able to see now, hopefully you can, where I'm putting these little. You can use it this way if you want some longer ones, or you can just put some fine ones in. There we go. maybe not as thick as that. It doesn't matter. Tell you what, we'll show you a little trick we can do with this after. There we go. Let's just put some indications of some fur catching the light there like that. There we go. And we can do the same thing, can't we? We can. Yes, we can do the same thing with the white. So we need to wash that brush, and we need to get some pure white on our palette because we contaminated it. We did. Yes. Okay, so get some white. Again, thin. I'm just using a little bit of retarder then, just because I just want this to come in like this. Don't pick up the yellow, Clive. Not what you want to do. There you go. And just build this fur in. There's no quick way of doing this process. That's for sure. This takes as long as it takes, and I've been asked questions like that. Clive, how long does it take to do that? Well, as long as it takes to do it, really. So I'll just get some fur, and the more you build this up, the more layers you put in, the more details you can put in. And I say layers because you can go over that again with a very thin wash of blue or black even, and then you get that be careful now, don't want to go too thick. Now she's looking like Boo. That's what my Boo looks like. And before we do anything more, let's get some hair in here, because she's got hair there. Okay, so looking at my picture, we need to bring some fur in there like that. We got a little bit of fur coming off her chinny chin. There we are. Just put some more indications of hair there. Fur. It's not hair, it's fur. You know what I mean. There we are. And it's a bit of like I said, if you wanted to, you could get a little bit of this black again, and you could go over that like that, just to dull back that brightness there if you wanted to. So don't ever forget that you can do that. What we're going to do now, we're going to get some longer bits of fur coming in there like that. Just using the edge of the brush. We can put a bit of finer details in there in a minute. Certainly, sir. Certainly. There we go. What I want to do now, I just want to wash that brush, and I want to get some more. I want to get this, a bit of this black into this orange now. I want to make this quite a dark, dirty looking colour, because I want to increase this shadow here. A little bit more. And then pulling that out. Now, some of these lessons are a little bit more advanced than others, and I do have a little play around. Sometimes I do some advanced ones, sometimes I just do some easy ones. As you can see in the background there, I've got a giraffe and I've got some ducks, and you know, they're all available on the website, on the YouTube channel. My main YouTube page is www.youtube.com/Clive5Art. I'll put the links below. Please pop along there. All my videos are in one place, in fact, and there's everything. There's loads of playlists and all these other type of things that you can go along and paint. And there's easy lessons in there. There's advanced lessons in there, and you just have a look and see what floats your boat, as they say. So I got a script lining brush. That's a long pointy one, and I'm holding it right at the end like that. I am. And I'm just going to put in some long, thin, fur-like lines. Now, she has got some nice eyebrows that come up there, so we just go very lightly. Right, like that. You've got to be bold, I think. I'm trying not to be... I'm trying not to think about it, so you just got to put some whiskers there, like that. And you got a few then there, like that. There's a little smaller one. There you go, that'll do. And you could put a whiskers in like this, and these ones would be like that. And I'm going to bring these up like this. So now hopefully you know how to paint white fur. You should do, hopefully, if I've done my job right. Let's get a little bit of black on the tip of that brush, because you mustn't forget to identify and mark by there, because she wouldn't be Boo without that, would she? She wouldn't. And again, just putting some lines like this, just to get them. Little Boo. Yeah, she is. She's a lovely cat, Boo. And she got some bits of white fur coming out of that ear as well. There we are. Give her a wash. Get her some black, thin black. And again, we're doing the same as we did with the white, but now with the black. There we go. Just putting some fur in like this, and we can concentrate on this eye a little bit more. Let's get some more black. Just little roundy little marks like that, just to break that line. And she's got a little bit of fur coming off the top of her head. Just breaks that line up, that's all. Just breaks that line up a bit. And then we can pull in some longer hair just under that eye there, like that. We could bring a bit of that down just to break that line up, like that. There we go. We can just there you go. How's that? She's looking pretty good, I think. Looking pretty good, I think. So going back into my detailing brush again. Again, I'm going into some yellow. We're nearly finished now. We've nearly finished. And I'll show you one little trick then before we finish this. Now I'd like you to click the subscribe button if you would, please, because that way then I upload normally once every Monday, definitely every Monday, sometimes more in fact, and that way then you're going to get notifications of my videos and when they're going to be coming out. Also there's loads of videos in there and collaborations that I've done with my friend Jason, and I encourage you to watch those, because the amount of knowledge that we've got between us is a lot, in fact. I'm getting up some pure white just on the tip of my brush now, and now I'm just gonna put in a few little highlights, literally, yes, literally highlights. There you go. And thank you very much for painting away the stress of everyday life with me here in Wales. And check out the descriptions and you'll see all my YouTube groups, and not YouTube groups, my Facebook groups, where you can pop along and join there as well. And please think about supporting me on Patreon if you want to, as a public funded site, where for as little as $1 a month you get some extra lessons. And well, from me and Boo and Molly Moose, I want to thank you very much for joining me, painting away the stress of everyday life, and I will certainly see you on the next lesson.
So grab your brush, have a great time, and don't forget to click subscribe.